Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to yet another edition of the show. You know what? Stardate, we're going to keep that one down low for a while because we are coming in from places that time does not exist anymore. We're on top of somebody's Krenim warship. We're outside of time and space. And tonight, we're going to be playing around with Mr. Top Gun himself, SARoss of the Pilot Review Show. Let me introduce the rest of the panel here. First off, we'd like to introduce our Chief Logistics Officer, Captain Timberwolf. Sir, lead us off with a good howl.
Oh!
Thank you, sir. Our Chief Intelligence Officer, our Chief Grumpy Intelligence Officer, who's not so grumpy today, Captain SarcasmDetector.
Greetings.
I could have sworn that Mississippi gravel would be good enough to make you happy. Seriously.
I am happy.
Oh, that's right.
You've just never seen what that looks like, so...
Yeah, we're going to leave that one for a while. Okay, our chief QQing of all the PvP needs everything to be nerfed. Science officer, Captain Snipey, 47 Alpha, coming from his new location in somewhere in civilized Australia.
That's right, yes. Hello, I'm coming to you from my new hometown of Perth in Western Australia. Do you want me to tell my quick little story now? Or you want to do the rest of the rest of the
We'll do
intros?
the rest of the introductions. You get to your quick little story real quick. All right, and we have, as usual, ourselves here. Stand by with that. I don't know, man. He's been cheesy lately, but I can't diss him because he is now a member of the Kinetic community. Our Chief of Cheesy Tactics, Captain SOB. Welcome to the Kinetic community.
AP Torp's still better.
No, it's not. Our Chief Ironic Medic, who's been talking with the Agronauts to try and get them up to a better game here, Captain MK.
Which is kind of weird because I'm like the opposite of an agronaut, but apparently I'm an honorary one, which I dig pretty heavy.
Yes, sir, you're an honorary Agronaut. I'm trying to say that 5 times fast.
No kidding.
Our chief emergency role-playing hologram right now is busy working on the isolinear chips to try and make him mobile. So we've stashed him off somewhere else right now so he wouldn't bother us too
It'll
much.
take about 30 minutes to activate his main subroutines here.
Yeah, and hopefully he'll start behaving a little bit better. Seriously.
He's been singing a lot, and it's weird.
You know, the whole singing thing, we'll let that fly. So, our chief science officer, now that you're done with the move and everything else, please share with us. What have you discovered lately?
Oh, well, as I just said, only if you could, do I turn on screen share myself? Is that what I do?
You can do that, yes. You can now present your screen to everybody else.
Thank you. Now is this working? So basically, what I've done, I had a goal to get further away from Spencer's Cheese, so I've moved from Adelaide over to Perth, which in civilized terms is about 2,700 kilometers, or in everywhere else it's about 1,677 miles, 3 bendels, 4 sticks, and 300 yards. But when I moved into my new place, I surveyed my view of the beautiful city of Perth, and what do I see in the empty lot across the street? SOB has already been here. So he is instituting a great amount of psychological warfare on me. So, so watch out if you ever make friends with SOB. He plays dirty. So that's all I wanted to say.
I thought
like
he was just sharing
it's like
your
you
love.
can't escape him.
I thought he was just sharing love with you, man. That's all it was.
Well,
Only
that's
to
probably
the
what
people
that's
that
probably
nerf
what
plasma explosions.
Well, see, there's also a theory that it's John Numbers doing psychological warfare on me, because apparently he's still a bit touchy from the plasma explosion console nerf. But whoever it is, it got me very, very good. I even shared it with Odin last week, and he had a good old laugh about it as well. So, yes, I'm back now, and happy to be back with the team.
Well, welcome back, and try not to get anything nerfed this time around.
Remember to protect your satellite dish against dingoes.
And wallabies and
And
5-foot
drop
spiders.
This is true.
Boom slangs.
All right, enough of that craziness. All
It's
right.
those drop bears you have to watch out for. They're really dangerous.
Very dangerous.
Our Chief Logistics Officer, I hear you have some interesting information you want to share with us in the past week that's happened.
Yeah. I interviewed LootCritter this past weekend, and let me tell you, that was probably one of the best things I've been a part of in the past week, just because of what we were able to talk about. Not including the interview that lasted an hour and 6 minutes. We also had an after show going for about 30 minutes until my internet crashed, and me and Luke talked for about, I want to say, a good hour before we started. I really got to know the guy. It was incredible, and the thing is, with us, a lot of us had looked to him as a source of information. He was the blogger we went to, and all he wanted to really be credited as is just one of the guys. He is eager to come on here and be part of the roundtable discussion when time permits, but we talked about just about everything that I could ask him about, anywhere from leak sites to his opinion of the show. I even went so far as to make for sure he is not Zeronius Rex. That has been confirmed. Despite Maria's best attempts, they are not the same person.
He sounds like a very humble individual, to be honest.
That's what they want you to think.
He was above and beyond humble, and it was really nice because it didn't feel like an interview while we were talking. It merely felt like, even though I had literally just met this guy over Skype and everything, it felt like I'd known this guy for a long time. We were able to talk so casually with one another that it did not feel like I was interviewing what I considered a high-profile person in the community. It felt like I was just sitting on the front porch talking to a good friend, and to me, that's what made it feel even better.
Those are the best type of interviews.
So when I got his opinions on a lot of different things, including why he started his website. Apparently, it all started because of Delta Rising. Go figure. And he's been playing since beta. So yeah, I was able to get a lot of impressions from him about the game and how it's evolved, where it is now, where he's hoping it goes. He loves the dev interaction with the community now, how it's improved. And he did talk about something that he is working on that he will start releasing this week. That's about all I can say. I just know it is something that's very important.
Well, thank you very much, sir. All right. Moving along here, we have the next thing here. What do we see about this? Some ship that has been released lately in a lockbox? Clue me in? Or is this thing been around for a while? Why have I seen this ship before? Something about a Jem'Hadar recon ship. I'm scratching my head here, guys. I mean, help me out
I've got a
here.
massive case of deja vu. That's what I
Yeah, I mean, I could have sworn I saw it. But, we're
It's
outside
just-
the time, so we're kind of looking at everything at the same time here.
I'm still sad that it doesn't have like a to-hit bonus or something like that against Galaxy-class ships.
Ouch.
Which it needs.
Nice.
That's too soon.
Why? They're advertising this as a new ship. Hasn't it been in game for a while?
The model has, well, a very similar model has, but this is slightly different seating.
It's actually oops. It is no. This is actually a new ship, but the oops is that they kind of released it early without any fanfare. Basically, what it is from the R&D promotion packs. Before we had this. Excuse me for a second there. Just needed a little bit extra gravel. So we had the R&D promotion packs before, where when you opened them, you got either the 10 Lobi or the new Jem'Hadar strike ship. That was not too long ago. What they did was they added a new version of the strike ship and called it the recon ship. And instead of releasing it now, when the new promotion starts, they modified the previous promotion packs so that they were giving the choice between the recon ship and the strike ship. So the recon ship has been out for a while, but now it's official.
So, what do you guys think? Initial thoughts on the ship here? Well, initial as far as
Initially,
going back in time.
From what I've read, it's not as decent a DPS platform as the strike ship because you can't slot OSS.
it could still slot OSS 2, but
But not
they
OSS.
knocked down the lieutenant commander intel to a lieutenant and gave the lieutenant commander hybrid seat to the pilot.
Yep.
Which just unfortunately means that the strike ship is the better ship.
I wouldn't go that far, honestly, simply because of the fact that it's almost the exact same setup as the Kutum warship as far as bridge officers. And I actually have a lot of success with the pilot as the lieutenant commander and a lieutenant intel seating myself, honestly.
The problem is that they've put reroute reserves for weapons too high up the rank chain and haven't made it interactable with other buffs. So that would be good if you could have reroute reserve weapons 3 in Lieutenant Commander and being able to run Fire at Will 3 alongside it. That would be an epic ship then, but you can't do that. So yeah, I'm sort of with the opinion on SOB with this. It is a weaker platform, but you know it's can turn out some niche builds here and there, like Scott's able to do.
Yeah, by no means is it a terrible ship at all. It's just slightly less optimal than the strike ship.
I guess based on the current meta, and which a lot of us subscribe to, including some kinetic builds now. Unfortunately, it's will require some adaptation. I'm guessing. To try and get the most out of it DPS wise. But yeah, no, by no means it's a terrible ship, of course.
Yeah, as Lord Ice just commented in the chat, the strike ship is a little bit better for kinetic build because of concentrate firepower. All in all, both the ships aren't what I would consider spectacular. The pilot ships are better than them, and even some of the regular tier 6 ships like the Manassa and a couple of the others, even the warships, the Nandi and the Krenum Imperium warship, I would consider to be a little bit better. So I think what we're going to see is another case of a extremely overpriced, underperforming ship. Not that it's bad, but I wouldn't really call it good, either of them.
Well, at least we know now that it's out there, and there are a lot of people who may or may not be after this thing like crazy. And speaking of something else that just came out there as well, we have the release notes recently, as in a couple minutes ago, just got put out there. So we will put this up. Where is my...
I am irritated.
Why are you irritated?
I'm just
Well,
confused.
it's about the patch notes. You know, we got this little bit of a teaser about the midnight episode, and now all of a sudden it's released this week with what is seemingly no fanfare, honestly. Normally with these episodes, they do a lot to build them up and tell us about them, and here it's just, alright, it's in game. And maybe they're just trying to have everything as a surprise this week, but maybe even a little thing like, hey, it is coming out Thursday. Could have been nice. That's the only really thing. Like, it's just the episode just kind of gets sprung. It's supposed to be the end of the Iconian War finally, and it just kind of happens.
All right. What aside from
like if all good things wasn't built up and there was no lead up to it, that it's just kind of strange that it doesn't exist.
I'm still trying to figure out though. I mean, is there going to be a very involved, in depth story with this, or is this going to be another segment of everything? I mean, it's going to be a finale. Is it going to be a grand finale or just a finale? I
Right.
guess we'll have to wait and play it
I
and see for
definitely didn't
ourselves.
spoil it for myself. I'm just looking forward to playing it, but I guess we'll see.
We will see. A couple of the things with the notes there, a lot of the crash fixes that a lot of people have been seeing, and hopefully this also addresses the complete stop or feed of data to the client whenever we're transitioning maps. So hopefully that takes care of it, because I know that's been plaguing us 2 patches ago. One other thing that they wanted to do here, added some information for when a player does a respec on their captain, that some skills and traits may be unslotted during retraining and may need to be reslotted again. And that's probably a good quality of life, because I know for myself a couple times when I respec, I'm like, crap, I forgot to include something, didn't I? Ugh, I'm just writing an STF and I can't change it at all.
There is something missing from these notes that's not even in the known issues. The research lab weekly fleet buff projects are still only lasting 1 day instead of the week.
So we're going to have to alert the devs that it's only lasting a day instead of a week. And if remind me, please, is it
they know.
supposed to be advertised as a week?
They know that. They know that. I think we should be alerting the players not to slot this project, because even though they have reduced the amount of resources it takes to fill the project, it's still a significant amount of resources for something that is meant to last for, I think it was 5 days or something like that, but it's only lasting literally 24 hours.
Yep.
So a warning to all people who have project slotting ability in their fleets: do not slot any weekly buff projects for your fleet until this issue is fixed, because you'll find great disappointment in how long it lasts.
Now this is interesting. Moved the research and development weekend event to start on September 17th. So it's not this weekend, it's the following weekend. This is very interesting, since we are getting the R&D promotion pack starting this weekend, right? Usually they happen at the same time. They start at the same time.
I can see why they might, considering the quote-unquote mega weekend coming with the double experience, dilithium, and marks. Maybe they wanted to spread out the increases in rewards over multiple weekends.
That's what it looks like to me. So there's no gap in bonuses that we're getting. There's a consistent buff to something over the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, I can understand that one, because then everything happens this weekend, and then they might not have something that they can bring out next weekend, so they just separate them. So I can understand that.
It makes sense.
One other thing over there for cannoneers who are doing the R&D daily mission. Yes, congratulations, you're still getting Argonite gas. I'm buying, so you want to send it over to my way, please let me know at Odinite. I'm buying a crap ton. Thank you very much. All right, so with that in there, we have one Redditor by the name of mbagel21 who had posted a series of builds where he called cheap deeps, and he wanted to do a series of builds that can be made by pretty much anybody with as little to no expenditure in EC or DIL or resources as possible. And he's showing that you can do well in your advanced STFs and even in a couple of elites with very little resource expenditure in the game other than just time.
Absolutely true. The one thing to note though, Bagel is a spectacular pilot. Bagel is one of the best pilots that I know, and that's important to note as far as getting cheap deeps out of these builds. Please don't expect to throw something like it together, take into an ISA, and get what Bagel is getting right out of the bat, or right out of the gate. You won't. But watching the piloting videos on YouTube and things like that, maybe we can throw up some links later. Those help a great deal in closing the gap. So it's not just the builds; it's the piloting that's very important.
Absolutely, but these are very solid platforms for people to stop worrying about their builds so much and then start focusing on piloting. Because, like I've always said that DPS 50% of your DPS does come down to piloting, and it's much less with your build. So, but completely agree. These are fantastic things
Great
put together by
platforms to
Bagel.
start from. And
Fantastic, yeah.
as you just said, they take the worry out of it. So okay, you've got a build that's really great for the money. Now let's figure out how to fly it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
Bagel, I'll just repeat what McKay said. I've known Bagel for a while, and yes, he is one of the top pilots in the game, to the point where I have also included him among the wizards of STO. And it just goes to show that it's probably even more than 50% is piloting. Gear really is not that important to your performance in the game. It is probably the least important thing. So there's always this argument, the chicken, which is first, chicken or eggs? Do we, the players want to go into advanced and do the advanced so they can get the material, to get the gear, to be able to run advanced, and this has always been an excuse that has popped up on the forums, and it is absolutely, absolutely false. You can do advanced and probably not all the elite content, some of the elite content.
Corfez, definitely.
Corfez, yeah, Corfez is one of the easy ones. You can actually do them with like the cheap
is
gear.
another really easy one.
And these series of videos that Bagel has put out, which is like about half a dozen videos, just goes to prove that. If for anything, just to watch it, just for the entertainment value, and maybe you can glean a little bit of knowledge and learn something from how he flies his ships. Oh, look at that.
Look at that. Computer, please activate the emergency role-playing hologram and present our next introduction.
He was busy playing with 7 and 9.
I am already turned on. I now have the capabilities of turning myself on, and you can always count on me to turn myself on every time.
Odin's very good at turning on people.
You're a sick bastard, that.
Odin is very, very good at turning on people.
That's supposed to be kept a secret. Nobody's supposed to know that. Don't ever say that again.
Especially considering nobody bothered to turn me off last week.
The chief engineer said he'd be over here to take a look at your ISO and your circuitry. We left you on just to run diagnostics. My fault. My bad. Anyway, back onto the point of piloting. One of the reasons that we're actually talking about this is because we have Mr. Top Gun himself right here, right now. Mr. SARoss of the Pilot Review Show. Please, sir, let us know what made you want to do something like the Pilot Review Show.
Well, that's one of the things when it comes down to it. Piloting in this game is a make or break on how well you can not only enjoy the game, but also how well you can do things. Gear does not matter. I will prove that 1,000 times over. I've taken standard mark gear, and I have used that to beat any SDF and still do fairly well even in a pug run. The reason the Pilot Review Show came to be in existence has to do with the fact that being on the Facebook group and being one of the admins, I saw so many people saying ship build this, ship build that, and some people saying, well, I've got this build, but I'm still only getting 7k DPS with this build. And so I said, well, it's not the build then, it's your piloting, and that's the issue. And so I got down with a couple people, and I started talking with Timber over there, and it says, you know what, let's do a show on this. And suddenly what was this chat turned into shows where we started discussing how you need to be positioning yourself to get the right advantages over your enemies to be able to make your ship do the most potential for it, whatever it may be, whether it be beam arrays, dual beam bangs, cannons, torpedoes, turrets, science builds, engineers, healers. Everything has a place, and if you do it right, you can make any build still do good DPS while doing whatever focus you want it to do.
And I had the good fortune of being on his show last week, and he did drop a couple pointers for me, especially in my cannon build, which is what I'm looking to move towards next. Once I'm done, pretty much strengthening the kinetic community so they could stand on their own 2 feet as an entity. I will be joining the Gunship Guild in their fight to improve cannons and cannon abilities. And I wanted to see how I can better my game because it's been a while since I've been in a cannon boat. And Scott already dropped me a couple tips as well as one piece of build advice I wasn't thinking about beforehand. So when I do spec back over into a full cannon build, I will be taking the advice that he's presented me and starting to blow up the charts a little bit there. So SOB, you and your 80k deeps on cannons, watch out. Now,
Yeah, I can actually say that there's a lot of folks in my fleet who run cannons who would be very interested to see what kind of setups you can do to make cannons effective or more effective, so they don't really have to go the route of beams. Like there's people who really do like doing cannons. Like I used to be straight up cannons all day, every day. And then I just found that beams kind of got me through everything quicker. So, yeah.
I actually started off with cannon builds myself, and that's what I learned on, and that's what I took advantage of when I started doing things. And then all of a sudden, that's what I was starting into the DPS chase of things, and I was using cannons for quite a while, and people's like, "Well, you should switch over to beams because they're going to get you this much more." It's like, well, okay, I'll switch over and see what all the fuss is about. Even now in today's environment, I would say cannons, maybe the lowest in the totem as far as people's awareness of them are. But I think in terms of what they're capable, I think between cannons, torpedoes, and beams, the playing field is so much more equal if you know how to play the cannon boat right, if you got the right ship combination, and you're gutsy enough.
And you get in people's faces.
Exactly, because you have to, because the cannon's got the biggest drop off.
Yeah, the fall
that
off.
is so ridiculous that you have to be using like point blank to help make up for that fall off that it has.
Now, one thing I was actually going to branch off of our emergency role-playing hologram's point here is what would it take to get somebody to get your attention to help them out as far as you being able to tutor them or give them tips on improving their piloting? What are the steps needed to be able to get your attention to help them out? That's what I was trying to say. Sorry. What will be the process to go through the review for the pilot review show?
So, the process is the same for everyone. You have to be coming to me and saying, hey, I'm trying to do XYZ. I don't care if it's you're trying to complete a level 1 mission or if you're trying to complete a level 60 mission or if you're trying to do like ISA so you can get higher up in the DPS leagues or if you're trying to simply with your group of 5 people that you have, you're trying to beat Corfez together as a team. You have your goal that you want to be doing, and you bring it to me, and I will give you whatever help and whatever tips it is, whether it be point your dang dual heavy cannons right at your targets versus have them away from the target. Or if it's simply saying, you know what, look at where your strengths are. Look at what you're doing right. You got all these that you're ready to line up with your skills, but you're not using your skills to their full advantage. For a role player, you know what? You got your goal, what you want to do, whether it's being a healer or if you're trying to simply just get a ship that can allow you to play the game so that you're not feeling like you're getting dragged on. Your build I can make you a build that is based upon dropped gear or gear that you can pick up from end mission rewards, and you'll have a build that'll be capable of doing what you need to and then some.
And as far as what they would need to do to get your expert review, they would need to be able to present a video, have it up on YouTube, you go and review it, and then you're getting tips off of that.
So the video doesn't have to necessarily be up on YouTube. One person that submitted to us dropped it into his Dropbox. And if you want to submit it in for the show, you just go to pilotreviewshow.com, our website. Down at the very bottom, there's a form that you can fill out to submit. It's all we ask for is a ship build, whether it be from the Stowe Academy or if it's from the Stowe builds on the Reddit group. Just have a ship build that we can look at what you have. There's Mikey over there. Or if you happen, and then get yourself a video. I mean, you can use Google Hangouts, which does not install on your computer, is very light to record your desktop, and you can just use that to upload it to YouTube if you don't have a source or some sort of software. And then submit the video into us and fill out a little other information. I mean, it's just like what level you are, what spec trees you have filled out, and then what mission is in the video. So I'm not like looking at it as like, okay, maybe this is ISA, or maybe this is conduit or whatever. I know instantly without having to think about it, and it's something I can have to pass off to someone else if I had to as well, so they don't have to be knowing all the runs like I do.
So I had a question for you, and you started to hit the nail on the head, and then I think you slipped and hit my thumb. But what would you suggest to the folks who don't have a computer that's really capable of running something like Fraps or Shadowplay or the new video capturing that comes with Windows 10, or doesn't have like a very good graphics card?
OBS is very light, so that'd be my first rec. Just I'm no expert here, but that's one thing I can say at least.
Yeah, OBS, Google Hangouts is fairly light as well, from what I remember, because I've used Google. I actually started off using Pilot Review with Google Hangouts and such, so that can work. The other thing that can work, if you need to, absolutely, because you have not a single computer that's worth doing it, you let me know. I'll run and I'll go right behind you. I'll just basically follow your ship. It's not going to be as good because I can't see the skills you're hitting at the time. But I can definitely make a more attentive look at the buffs that you're getting and say, hey, you know what, you're not hitting these and I know your attack. Stuff like that. So if you don't have it, we can make arrangements. I will fly behind people all day. Unfortunately, I don't have all day during the weekdays because I work, but I will fly with you anytime that I have time that meets up our schedules, or you can even talk to anyone else that has recording software that can follow behind you and record for you.
Yeah, I was just going to put out another suggestion. If you know how to use demo record, try doing a demo record of your run and maybe sending. Would they be able to send that in? When you run a demo record, once you press play, it's kind of like watching a file off of Fraps. You get the kind of default view of what they're looking at. So if somebody moves the mouse to the right and moves the mouse in right in demo play or demo record, you don't actually see the HUD, but you'll still see the icons that pop up. Is that another option for people?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if it can follow, I mean, if you leave it so that it sets up to follow you still, and so because, I mean, obviously the biggest thing is not just your, not just what you're hitting for your skills, because if I can see those, I can break down what you're doing and how you're accessing things, but also to see. The biggest point also is to see where your ship is pointing. So if it's pointing left, right, or if you got your dual heavy cannons pointing away from your targets every single minute of the instance, then that's going to be a huge instance to help out me to say, hey, you know what, Odin, you're flying away from your targets where you should be flying towards them.
Sorry.
Awesome. Yeah,
Okay.
that's kind of
Thank
it
you.
for my
Yeah.
questions there.
I'll be coming to see you soon enough, Scott. I wanted to break 30 on my own before I did, but you know me, I've got a weird build, and it's probably going to be a little fun for you to deconstruct it and to see if you can help me.
Oh,
So,
healing bolt? Yeah, I can.
uh-huh.
That's easy enough.
It's a combat healer, so
Yeah.
you ought to have some fun with that. Because remember, I prioritize healing over combat, so I might be taking lines that a DPS person wouldn't fly.
You know what? If you can slot 2 FOS, I can get you into the 30k into the 50k area.
I'm in 30 now, and I'm pretty happy with 30. I can't slot 2 FOS and not break my build fairly significantly. But
Wow.
we'll like I said, we'll talk about it. I'll come guest, and maybe you can help me out.
Not a problem.
Okay, I want to jump in a little bit regarding recording software. Just some tips because I do a lot of recording myself. If you're doing a recording, Fraps is actually very, very good for that. It's probably one of the it's a bit old. It hasn't been updated in a few years, but it's still really, really good. Some tips for you in the settings in the game itself. When you go to the display settings, I think the display mode defaults to Windows maximized. If you go to full screen, that helps out a little bit. Turn off anti-aliasing. Some other tips, you can turn off things like post-processing, bloom quality, all those little extra things like cinematic focus, lens flare. You can turn down the details, the world details, terrain details, character details. Turn off shadows, put the light quality at low, turn off dynamic lighting, turn off reflections, all those things. Just go ahead and just put everything down to minimum and run Fraps. You probably don't even need to run it at 1080p. You can tell it to do a half screen resolution.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be beautiful for me to look at it. And that's one of the things. If you're worried about being beautiful and looking perfect, don't worry about it. You dummy it down as much as you have to make it work, and it'll be good enough to get the gist of what needs to get done.
If I submit a video to you, you're getting it in with music and cinematic trailer mode. Just saying. But also, just to add to what Sarcasm was saying, if you're also using Fraps, make sure your save location is also going to a partition or hard drive that has lots of space. Because even when you do dumb down the graphics a bit, it saves as AVI, and if your ISA that you're doing is about 15 minutes, it is going to be a big AVI file. So make sure you have the hard drive space, because you don't want to start running it and then go and play it and find out that you ran out of space and you only got the first 2 minutes of the 15-minute ISA run.
But still
That's
better
why
than encoding on the fly. So
That's why those of us who are blessed
you
with
got-
having an NVIDIA card and shadow play are
yeah,
thankful that we
unless
don't
you
have
got a
to
really
use
beefy
Fraps.
rig, and then you can just encode on the fly. But
Timber, you had a question.
No questions.
All right. I do have one question though, Scott.
Yep.
When did you first get involved with Star Trek Online? And from there, lead us up into where do you see this game going, and what would you like to see, or what hopes do you have for this game in the future?
So that's a very good question. For myself, technically, I started back when this game was way back in the beta phase, and I got into the beta point at that point in time, and I played the game quite a bit at that time. When it went from beta to going live, I was working at a place where I wasn't making enough money to be able to pay the monthly fees or even the LTS. So I said, well, sadly, I got to set this game aside. I was working in a computer store, so I was able to show off a great game and get a bunch of people hooked up on it. And then,
that's the best part.
yes, I was at a computer store hooking people up on this game, and they were getting addicted and buying these super ridiculous computers that's way more powerful than necessary. And here I am, I can't even afford to play the game that I want to play, that I'm showcasing to people. But when it came down to it, when it went live, I stopped playing it. To give you an idea, I came back when it went free to play, and then shortly after I got the lifetime subscription. And then I've been playing ever since that point pretty religiously. So as far as where I'd like to see the game go, honestly, this game, I think the biggest thing that needs to happen is this game needs to head into a direction where it's giving more in-game content, more stuff at the end for level 60 players who are maxed out to be able to look forward to doing some sort of major runs, whether that's a form of more elite queued events or if that is some missions that you have to, without a doubt, take a group of people into on. That, whatever be the case, it needs more stuff for the in-game player. Because right now, I'll be honest, I'm starting to get bored of it, and I mean, even as we speak, instead of playing Star Trek Online like I like to be, because I like the game so much, I'm off playing another game, and that's one of those things that it needs to have that. The other thing that needs to happen is that this lag that I've had for quite a while needs to disappear. It's one of the things that's been hitting me since the anniversary event, and I've not really seen a relax in the lag since.
What lag?
Yes, exactly.
No, there's lag in the game because players love the game too much.
No, I think it's that your network is bad, your computer is horrible, and that you keep having torrents downloading movies and really bad things. So you should stop that.
Yeah, stop downloading.
Yes, oh yes, definitely. I guess I'm playing too many games at one time. I'm sorry.
You should get a weaker computer.
I blame the Torp users.
Considering that you're one now, yeah, blame yourself.
And I can verify.
A little bit of self-hating there.
No. He's absolutely right. We've seen it multiple times. Even yesterday, we were doing an ISA run, and I shit you not, Spencer shot off a Torp spread, and it froze everyone in the ISA for like 3 seconds. Odin, you were there. Everyone was like, "What's going on?" Everyone.
That's how epic the AP Torp is, mate.
No, he was using
Neutronic.
Chemosite. He was using Chemosite combined with Neutronic, but Chemosite with any torpedo.
Chemosite, Neutronic, and that's even with the 10 target limit that they've got now.
Yeah, which
it's the graphics. It's the graphics from Neutronic that's doing it. You notice it's the purple effect that Neutronic does. That's when I notice the pause for me. It's not when it shoots up. It's when it hits the enemy.
There's a difference between the client side rendering and then the server side performance issue, and there's also a client server communication issue there where you have the client and the client cannot update anything, any sort of input to be able to send to the server. There's a couple different things that are happening there. But as far as Neutronic itself, he is a lag creator.
If it was a graphics-related issue, the members of that run would be affected differently because everyone's running different systems, has different performance curves for their graphics. This was server-side because we were all affected the same way.
Right. And even though there is a 10-target cap, which we're still awaiting clarification, Bordicus or anybody else who was involved in that change, we're still awaiting clarification on a couple of questions they were tagged on Reddit and on the forums on whether it's a per torpedo or per salvo. Also, Chemosite double proc needs to be fixed for all of the AoE modes. We know that. That's part of the problem right there from where we're sitting at. Because that's... I went through this with one person on the forums. If you're firing a photon torpedo in spread mode, that is one more torpedo than you have with Neutronic. So instead of 3 torpedoes, it's 4. 4 torpedoes going out. Double proc of Chemosite there. That's 200 calculations has got to go through in a cluster of 5 mobs that are right next to each other. A minimum of 200 calculations. So, yeah, ouch. Do that
John
times
Numbers,
2 different people firing at the same cluster of targets.
But
And that's double
Odin.
ouch.
John Numbers, you got it recorded for all time. I did not say that. That was not me who said it.
But if you take chemo away from Torp Spread 3 and how its current interactions are, Torps on most builds are once again going to be pretty much pointless.
Which is why I'm advocating for a fix to the torpedoes and a fix to Chemosite for all AoE firing modes. And not a nerf to fall, not a nerf to cannon rapid fire scatter volley, not a nerf to the torpedoes itself. Just fix the issues. That's it. And then you won't have to worry about whether one build is underperforming or another. The major issues need to be addressed. And that includes things that are working for the benefit of the player, which includes the double proc of Chemosite.
But if they fix the nerfs, you have nothing to talk about then.
Hey, speaking of awesome player benefiting cheese, there's something else on the
Yes,
horizon. There's
yes.
something
I was.
else,
I put that on
that's a
there
great
in
segue.
point exactly to bring it to you. So please take it away.
All right, I'd be glad to. So, I'm always looking for ways to improve my DPS without really breaking my build, which is kind of hard. And one of the things that caught my eye was the new Hypercap shield that came out in the R&D Shield School, I think it is. Am I right about that?
Yes,
'Cause I
sir.
bought it.
Yes,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
are.
Yes,
that's
you
what I thought. It's a new crafting project that you can do through Shield's R&D, and it's very interesting because it has an extremely high capacity, an extremely low regeneration, and a toggle ability that gives you a Cat 2 damage buff of up to 40%, scaling downward with your shield capacity. Basically, it drains your shields as you fire. It's like an amp shield in Borderlands, if anyone remembers that.
Yes.
Basically works the exact same way, and it's really, really cool. It does have some limitations, of course. It disables shield healing for the duration of the energy weapons buff. It's energy weapons only. Sorry, kinetic community. But immediately upon reading the tooltip, messing with it a little bit, and I can't have been the only one to have this thought, but there have to be skills and things like that that interact with it in such a way that you could keep the buff at the full 40% and not have the shield drain, etc., basically bypassing the shield healing immunity that the buff gives you. And it didn't really take us long to figure out a really cheesy way to do it. Marshall was the first to really articulate it. But if you hit RSP before you trigger this buff, your shields don't drop, and you get the 40% buff for the entire 30-second duration. So I don't know if that's working as intended. It just seems to me like it wouldn't be. But if it is, then that's a pretty powerful combination of abilities.
Absolutely.
Yep, it's super cheesy. And actually, so I'm being told that it is working as intended.
Wow. All right.
Well,
just some
hold on. Time
calculations
out.
here.
Sorry. Time out. Are you stating that somebody with some sort of official capacity is saying that it's working as intended?
I may be saying that.
Wow.
But don't forget, you have to be taking damage for RSP to work, though.
interaction. I mean, I want to try all kinds of stuff. I want to try emergency power to shields. I want to try the Undine shield bubble. I'm going to try a bunch of stuff. But this could be somewhat of a game changer. Now, I will say that Category 2 is getting kind of crowded these days. Pedal to the Metal is Category 2. I believe all of the new energy weapon and kinetic weapon batteries are Category 2.
Correct.
What else is Cat 2? There's a lot that's Cat 2 lately, and so that may be a concern.
The new fleet weekly combat buff projects are.
Yep, that's true too. So be advised, you min-maxers. There's a lot of Cat 2 stuff coming out. You probably don't want to stack too much of it.
No, it's fine. You can stack as much.
Yeah, sorry,
It's
Camp's
fine.
probably going to say exactly the same thing I was about to say. But go
It's
ahead.
fine. Stack as much Category 2
Well, I mean,
as
stack,
you want.
but you know what I mean.
It
And not
dilutes.
maybe not in favor of something else.
No, it dilutes. That's fine. For those of us that are running the damage mods on our weapons,
That's
the
exactly
more
what I was about to say.
the more Cat 2 there is,
No,
the
that's
more
true.
diluted it gets, the better our damage mods are.
That-
I just want to talk about the actual shield itself for now, if you guys don't mind. I did some tests with it a little bit earlier, and it is actually quite spectacular. The non-bug with RSP, notwithstanding, just a little bit of a test. I managed to put in some of the shield capacity consoles on there. They weren't epic level; they were just ultra rares on my Krenim, and I had about 42k per shield facing. Now, here's the thing: the damage reduction, or the amount of capacity it drains when you fire your weapons and you have that particular proc toggled on, does not scale according to the capacity of the shield. It is constant. So I believe it was something like 427 points of shield every time you fire a weapon.
Something like that, yeah.
So yeah, if you just put the shield as it is, you don't have anything that boosts your shield capacity, and you hit that toggle and you start firing, you're gonna lose all your shields within like 10 seconds, if not faster, because it just drains them that fast.
It deactivates when any of your shield facings drops below 20%.
But you can stack those shield capacities. You have them on the embassy consoles. You have them on the Krenim consoles. Someone actually pointed out that the Krenim consoles, you can get double shield capacity. You can get like the shield capacity as the primary and secondary on there. You have the exotic field exciter, which has a 25% extra shield capacity at Epic. There was the new console from the last featured episode series. It is called the Temporal Disentanglement Suite. That also has a 25% shield.
So what you're saying
capacity.
is basically any way to add shield capacity gives you a longer duration, a potential longer duration for the buff if you're not popping RSP.
Yeah, you actually don't have to go very far for it to keep that full duration. But according to my calculations, it should be possible if you're stacking the consoles and you have the right skill and you have the deflector or the secondary deflector. There are other sources of shield capacity in the game.
Yep.
It should be possible to get over 60k shield facings per shield facing.
Min-max, without really trying to min-max this much at all, I got 20k facing.
Not 16, not 1-6.
Yeah,
60.
6-0.
6-0 followed by 3 zeros, and it's probably closer to 65k per shield facing. It's possible to get more shield facing HP than you have hull on your ship. Of course, it's meaningless against Borg. You know, the first sphere that looks at you, your shields are gone. But it actually might survive a couple of seconds longer than a normal shield.
Right. In a low threat build, it's probably best. You really don't want to get shot at too much.
But what if somebody who, like, say, one of the agronauts who wants to load that up with threat consoles and shield heals, and I'll come back to the threat console issue later, but who wants to load that up with threat consoles and shield heals? You think it'll be viable for the type of build like that?
You're only able to trigger the proc once every 2 minutes. The
2
proc
minutes.
on RSP is what, a minute and a half?
Yeah. And I mean, just in the general sense that a tank build is going to be shot at a lot, probably not. You're going to want more regen than that.
Well, maybe true, but good for like an initial surge, where they're able to keep themselves up for a while, blast that thing down, draw enough threat for energy weapons to keep the shields up, and then go. Because I mean, I did it beforehand, popped RSV, and then popped the shield capacitor, and then watch my shield stay up for almost the entire duration.
It
It's
does lock
ridiculous.
out Valdor, though, by the way.
Well, which is fine. Who cares about Valdor? I mean, between the Kabali shield,
I do.
and well, you do, but you know, for the rest of us
Yeah.
low underlings here, between the Kabali shield, capacitor, and reverse shield polarity, while the Kabali shield capacitor doesn't do much for it, it
No,
does help
it's a
slow down the
big-
drain.
it's a big hit, a one-time heal.
And that's a big AoE heal too. That's more for an AoE
Yeah.
heal than your actual self heal.
Right,
I can
but
manage,
when you
I
have
can manage
think
about a 16k hit with that, but that's still only going to bring the shields back up, only to be drained some more as you keep firing.
right, but think about it if you have like 3 or 4 people using this and you pop that and everybody's popping it in succession.
Maybe you'd really have to coordinate that well.
Well, some people like to coordinate in this game.
That's true. I mean, people coordinate
It's called-
the 4
it's
piece.
called
I
team
can use
fighting,
that
right?
right now, so it could be done.
Just an idea, something to throw out there. So,
Ideas are what we build on. That's great.
exactly. Who knows? It's just something to play around with.
The only thing I really don't like about that, and it has nothing to do with you, is the fact that the Kobali shield cap has a really crap limited range. It's only 5K in each direction. It's a 5K bubble, basically.
Why
But
are
that's-
you insulting me like that, man? I'm taking full
That's-
offense about that, man. You just insulted me.
Do
How
that.
dare you?
SJW Warrior there, but
Word.
it just has a limited range, and it makes it kind of tough because you gotta cuddle then, and I'm not sure if I want to cuddle with Marshall.
Odin likes to
I don't know
cuddle.
where he's been.
Dude, I've been all over the universe, so it's all right. It's all good.
He's the universe bicycle.
Yeah, you're funny.
Everybody's had a ride.
You're funny. You're real funny. Anyway, for Sarcasm Detector and Mr. Top Gun himself, SARoss, we have a Redditor who had submitted a couple links to their build academies, and I'm going to post them in the video here as well. Send it to both of you individually. It's something from Baba Hands, and we've been sitting on this for a while, thinking about a best way to be able to introduce what he has here. And this will be perfect for the pilot review show and for Sarcasm Detector's channel to be able to go through his builds right here and then see, okay, how would you enhance it in what way? And I would actually like to propose not necessarily a challenge, but see from 2 different perspectives how you would design and fly these ships and what he has on the skill planner. What modifications would you put to it, how you enhance it, or if you want, contact them and I'll send all the contact information once I get it back from them, and then see exactly how you want to work with them and see if you can improve their piloting or improve the way they design their ship. See what you can do for them. You guys accept?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, depending on if it's within the scope of what my skills are, there are some things where I just don't have the experience for and I can't really comment
And
on.
anything I can do to help.
Well, that's why we have all these people here on this panel, that way we could point to one direction or another, say, hey, I know nothing about this. You know, could you help me out with this person here and their build, or give me something here to be able to address their question. And that's one of the things where we're all collectively coming together to be able to help out the community whenever they have questions.
Okay. Do you want to actually look at this now, or do you want to save it for a different point?
Actually, I was thinking both of you would be able to do it within your video channels. If it's something that you're capable of doing, then yeah, do it for both of your channels, and then call any of us should you need any one of our area of expertise. I know MK right here, he's pretty much good as far as the DPS heals category, and which I actually have somebody I'm going to be sending your way. Dude,
Yeah.
I'll be sending somebody your way anyway, so.
Yeah.
Cool. There is one other thing we wanted to bring up here before we wrap up the show tonight. The Fleet Research Lab daily missions. SOB,
Two
why did
other
I get a
things
funny
actually
feeling?
after this.
Okay, yeah, that's true. SOB, I got a funny feeling. This is part of you, or is it something else here?
Yes, a fleet mate of mine went and did a guide on just how to go and do these daily little missions. There's 2 of them at the Fleet Research Lab, and they've got some pretty nice rewards. One of them has an 18-hour cooldown. You just send 4 DOFs on their way to go do it. The other one, you just go choose a school. It'll give you some XP for whatever school you select, so you then go into that school, do a little project that takes 10 seconds, you get 5,000 XP, 9,000 if it crits. I think that might be with bonus pools, though. and it'll give you 1,200 lithium, 15,000 EC, and the mats to craft a superior tech upgrade. So you can go do that on each character. It's pretty nice.
That
And
is pretty
anything
nice.
you-
I
Go on.
just saw that yesterday for the very first time because I visited the research lab for the first time yesterday, and I saw that, checked it out, and I mean I accidentally did it on a school that I've already got maxed out, but it's for the time that it takes, the whole 10 seconds that it takes. Do it every day.
Any closing
And
words from anybody here?
Yes, absolutely. I've got well wishes for our good friend Aaron Eisenberg, who's out of the hospital and back home, still looking for a kidney, unfortunately, if anyone's got a spare. But you know, our best wishes to him as a community. We hope that he heals up quickly. We all love you. You're great, man. So keep being great.
Hopefully you do better, man. And we'll probably see if we can get a donor for you out there.
Uh,
No, we
I,
should
I
probably
would
do
like
that.
I would like to mention on that particular behalf with something me and Alan and Scott did together. We did a 3-day running of Let's Play a Ferengi on
It
our
was
Twitch
great.
channels. We got a response from Aaron directly saying that he fully enjoyed what we did. It brought a smile to his face. It really gave him some good joy despite what he's going through. And he's really appreciating not just what we did, but everything that the fans are doing in support of him. So the more that we can keep pumping out there, the more we're going to be able to bring him joy on a regular basis because he is still going through this. So, I mean, let's brighten up his day as much as we can.
Stuck at home for at least part of that, so let's give him something to smile about.
Exactly. Let's see if we can entertain the man a little bit.
And that's worth its weight in gold. Really. That smile. So, fantastic effort.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. SARoss, Mr. Top Gun himself from the Pilot Review Show, for gracing us with your presence on the show. And we'll be sending
Always a
people.
pleasure.
Thank you, and we'll be sending people your way. Should you choose to continue to improve on people's abilities to be able to pilot their ships a little bit better. And I will be seeing you again later on when I got a couple ideas I want to pick your brain on as well. So, thank you.
Yeah, no worries. As long as there's builds and videos, I'll be on.
All right. And on behalf of our Chief Logistics Officer, our Chief Grumpy Intelligence Officer, our Chief of Nerf Everything Science Officer, our Chief of
Well, I
Ultra
got that.
Smelly Cheese. What? What, son? Come on, man. You like to nerf everything in the kitchen sink.
Oh, jeez, it's you. You did a pretty good job with chemo earlier, so I think we might have to put that title to you.
It's
look,
nerf for nothing.
Dude, I just want it fixed. That's all it is. And our Chief of Smelly and Cheesy to the Ultra Max Cheesy Tactics, who probably will have about 50 seconds out of a minute of immunity everywhere else here, Captain SOB. Is that right?
He's falling
50
asleep.
seconds? 50 seconds
He's
now?
falling asleep.
Oh, he's
Well,
falling asleep.
actually, if it's against kinetic damage, you can have, what is it, like 65 seconds out of 60 immune?
No, yeah, if you stuck enough countermeasure systems, you can get over a minute in every minute.
Y'all are making me sick.
Wow.
You know what? I'm going to go with the medic here. I'm going to go with the medic, our Chief Medical Officer here, Captain MK. Please
Yo,
give me some irony on this whole situation.
on the
The cheese, the ultra
on the
cheese.
cheese. I
Yeah.
love cheese. I'm a big fan. It's just that I'm kind of a big fan of fair play as well, and so I'll use stuff that's cheesy, but I don't get sad when it's nerfed. I know it's coming.
There's the irony. There's the irony.
The study of duality in men.
Yes, that
Yes.
too. Our Chief Emergency Role-Playing Hologram. Please close us out with something nice.
Everybody have fun with the new featured episode tomorrow, bringing this Iconian War to a close.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, looking forward to season 11.
October 22nd, I hear, is the kind of date.
The official release date.
Bring on the
It
next
is.
chapter in Star Trek Online. That's what I say.
Right.
Let's do it.
That's a long final battle. I hope everybody's ready for it.
All right,
Very
everybody.
cool.
I'll be playing the final battle several times. Something tells me.
Interesting. I might actually do a live stream of the new featured episode tomorrow, right after the servers come up.
Oh, I was thinking
Do
about
that.
doing that too.
You know what? We'll do that, and over the weekend, if all of our schedules line up, we'll probably do individual streams to our YouTube channels and run around with Valken a little bit and blow up a couple things here and there, or
I'm
whoever
gonna-
else.
Absolutely.
I'm going to throw this to Timber and Ross and any of you other guys. If you have a Ferengi, because this mission will be available to level 10 and up, let's take our level 10 Ferengis in and do this mission on the weekend.
I'm in.
Done.
I'm in.
Hashtag play a Ferengi, y'all.
Peace.
This is all of us from the show. Have a good night.